Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1504. Yay! I feel so, I don't know, like I'm in the clouds or something, just riding really high. uh, no, I do not ever ingest those things, those substances. No, I don't drink alcohol. No, I don't, it's like people assume so much these days. However, we are in The Rules Handbook by Ellen Fein and Sherrie Schneider. Schneider and Fein, The Rules Handbook, a guide to creating loving and lasting relationships. These are the New York Times best-selling authors of The Rules. And also, they wrote rules dating journal. Record your progress from first date to wedding date. I can actually read this out loud. Stay on the right path with the rules dating journal from Ellen Fein and Sherrie Schneider, authors of the #1 New York Times bestseller that has become an international phenomenon, comes a journal for dating by the rules. That is, dating without losing yourself, your self respect, or your standards. Following the rules is tough, but the payoff is worth it, and this journal will help you stay on course. The perfect place to record your every dating move, and is. The journal allows you to track how well you follow or stray from the rules and helps you examine all your mistakes so you won't repeat them in the future. This handy little volume also doubles as a workbook, featuring exercises and questions that help you stick to the rules and gently guide you back from temptation to break them. A practical, wonderful way to bring the rules into your life. The Rules Dating Journal will lead you to your most cherished dream, capturing the heart of Mr. Right. ISBN 9780446523141. Okay, that's interesting. Read that. So you'd be able to find it on any thrift book. I'll read that one more time in case there was a glitch in the video. 9780446523141. Yeah. That's the ISBN. ISBNs are part of our life. Part of our life. ISBN. So are UPC codes, and so are those scan squares. I don't know what those are called yet. Week 8 of course 5. Create respectful marriages and partnerships. Week 8 is marriage is a balancing act. Your rules weekly pep talk. Some people think that life before marriage is overwhelming. Then, once they get married and have a family, life can seem like walking on a tightrope. There is so much competition for a married man. Let me get this distraction out of the way. Sorry, I have a distraction. There's so much competition for married women's attention. There's so much competition for a married woman's attention today, whether it's her big career, her home renovation, girls' night out, kickboxing class, social media, and sometimes kids. Be sure you don't spread yourself so thin that you have nothing left to give your husband. Don't be so busy that you forget to cook dinner, his favorite meal, and give him cold leftovers, or neglect to be playful or intimate. You need to still date him even when you're married. If you're too busy to be a wife, then you're too busy. Drop some of the other activities and act like you're dating your husband again. Spend more time nurturing your relationship and intimacy to strengthen your marriage. This week, focus on getting your priorities straight. Your husband first and everything else after. Send him flirty texts. Thank him for all the small things he does for you and your family, and tell him how attractive and sexy he is. Now, during the singles when singles do the dating rules, the rules for capturing the heart of Mr. Right, you're not allowed to send him those flirty texts or thank him for all the small things he does for you. We women tend to want to do that, and it's excruciating not to be able to, but that's what it is. So here we are. I am trying to entertain you to have a great day with morsels of a thought of wisdom, 1504, and to inspire you to have a great day, because knowing the right thing to do is wisdom, and actually doing it is called virtue. Now, if you have friends to come and watch and like and subscribe, that'd be great. I'm on the YouTube channel as well as on the Facebook, on Yin Yang and House Cat Tracks. In Facebook, I am Ying Orange 99. All right, marriage is a balancing act. Daily rules. Day 316, marriage before career. It's difficult for high-powered women to remember that their marriages are more important than their careers. One client complained her husband asked her to pick up dinner on her way home before work. She complained, "As if I have nothing better to do. Why can't he get it?" Another client said, "Why doesn't he put the dishes in the dishwasher? It's not like his arms are broken." We said, "Sometimes you have to act like catering to your husband's needs. Cooking and housework are more important than your work." Wink, wink. If your husband and home life isn't happy, it doesn't matter what you do for a living. The wink, wink was actually in here. Don't expect applause. Wow. Yeah. You know something? I used to have a boyfriend that I was with, the one that I was with for so many years. There was a time that I was unable to bend my at my waist because I had a condition. I couldn't bend at my waist. So I actually asked him to take two hangers. You know those wire hangers? Oh my gosh, God forbid we think of mommy dearest. Yes. Um, anyway, those I told him to take a couple of them, take them apart and bend them in half and put the other end in a bent way so that the ends were bent longer, and then place them in his pockets, in his jeans pockets, actually inside the uh, belt waist of the pants, to make his thighs and his midsection stay together. And I said, "Okay, now try to bend over the dishwasher." And he couldn't. And so I said, "This is how come I need you to put all the dishes in the dishwasher." So he did. I don't think he was happy about it, but he certainly did understand that I had a condition that prevented it. But as far as being a wife, an actual wife, I wasn't a wife. Being an actual wife, you want to kind of take over those duties that sometimes those men think are yours. Your marriage, wink, wink, is better. I mean, is more important than your career, unless you feel like using the D word in your life. That's interesting, very interesting. It's a very interesting point, observation about um, prioritizing your marriage. Don't expect applause. Even in this age of dual career couples, most of the housework and kids' work falls on the wife or mother, and your husband probably doesn't thank you for each and every task. You want to scream. Do you think this house looks this way by magic? What do you think? I mean, sorry. Who do you think makes the beds? Mary Poppins? Your husband thinks he said thank you once, and that should last for 20 years. Similarly, you don't thank him every time he takes out the garbage. Don't be a scorekeeper as your lower self. A marriage is like any other relationship. You do things, he does other things. It all evens out in the higher self opinion in the end, and a happy marriage is your thank you. In our higher selves, we do the Tao that I read yesterday, all about the Tao. We do so much Zen in our higher self. We can't believe it. Uh, the Tao is a way, the Chinese way. So like here, here. Here's number 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. That's part of the Chinese Tao philosophy. Those things were written by a philosopher named Lao Tzu and translated by Stephen Mitchell over here. Lao Tzu was uh, a guy that lived thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago. So serenity, and don't expect applause. Don't expect applause. Time saver. It annoys your husband that you're always on your phone. He says something sarcastic like, I'm used to it. Don't say, well, I'm used to you watching sports. Your lower self loves a good fight, but your higher self could have avoided it by saying, you're right, I should really do a phone detox and put away the cell phone. And you say, you're right, I should do a phone detox, and then you put away the cell phone. You would never tell a good friend that you put up with anything. You'll save lots of time by getting along with your husband. Think of all the calls to your girlfriends and your therapist you won't have to make saying, he's sleeping on the couch, or we're not talking. Sleeping on the couch is a Western concept of the fact that the couple are having a disagreement, serious disagreement, and they sleep apart instead of having, what. And sleeping on the couch is sort of a metaphor for that. And then we're not talking, of course, is very self-explanatory. The one time I got my ex really mad, he wanted to step out of the car about 3 miles away from home. He got home a couple of hours later, or about an hour later. He walked fast. But I, as I let him out of the car, I thought, this is the beginning to an end. This is not a path to a resolution of a fight in the relationship. I realized it at that moment, and I said, when I didn't have the wherewithal to quit, to quit that relationship, because I didn't have the rules. When I got together with this guy, it was 1993. 1993. 1993 was a couple of years before the rules came out, and a few years before the rules 2 came out. Now, the rules and the rules 2 are in a book called All the Rules, and you can get that. You have to be careful on thrift books if you look there, but I don't know. You might want to be careful to make sure you see the word all, and that way you'll get the 2 books in one volume. Yeah. Time saver. Okay. Nice at home. Sometimes it's easier to be nicer to your children, friends, coworkers, and boss than your husband. They don't snore, notice your faults, act bossy, talk loudly, accidentally put your new fishnet bathing suit in the dryer, or are just annoying. Sometimes it's so much easier to be nicer to a stranger than your husband. If a friend or acquaintance said she wanted to start a new business, you would say, "You go, girl." But if your husband suggests it, you say, "Oh, yeah, like your last project, and with what money?" Don't make him your punching bag. The Flintstones comes to mind. Do you remember that cartoon, The Flintstones? I grew up in the 70s, and the Flintstones were the perfect Mr. Flintstone. Fred Flintstone wore an orange cougar outfit. And Barney Rubble was shorter than he was and was the next door neighbor. Wilma was Fred's wife. Betty was Barney's wife. And it was so funny because I also used to watch The Honeymooners, and the Honeymooners would have, snide arguments, and that's different. But the Flintstones never, ever, ever talked. The couples never seemed to talk to each other. They were always, their attention was always aligned onto a different action going on. And Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone were the only two people that talked to each other. And then I think Betty and Wilma also talked to each other. But I recall that the couples didn't ever talk. The couples didn't ever argue. The couples were teamed up as parents of the children. What was the children's name? What were the children's names? Fred and Wilma had a baby named Pebbles, who's a little girl that always crawls toward the wall, and stays there. And then somebody picks her up and turns her around, and so she'll continue the other way. And then the other baby was named Bam Bam, Barney Rubble and uh, Betty's son. Now, Bam Bam could stand and walk, but he always carried a big caveman club, and he would always hit things. And when he hit things, the whole picture would shake, and you'd hear a boom, boom, bam, bam, and then boom. He would say bam, bam, and boom, boom, and it was so funny. Goodness gracious! Make time for intimacy. Don't think, "What's the least I can do and still stay married?" Women, especially working moms, want to cut corners by saying no to intimacy or cooking because they are tired or have an early morning Pilates class or their evening book club. This is a mistake. Intimacy and cooking are to men what snuggling is to women. Intimacy and cooking are to men are what snuggling is to women. One benefit of a rules marriage is that your husband finds you attractive and loves your cooking. So be flattered. Try to put yourself in the mood because it's not about feeling it all the time, but doing it. Physical intimacy leads to emotional intimacy. Everyone wins. Hmm. Women are much more the result of physical intimacy for women is different than the result for physical intimacy for men. Physical intimacy for men may be the equivalent of emotional intimacy, while for women the emotion comes afterward in the form of that chemical in the brain. Think chemical starts with an O, ends with an N. OXY TOCIN. I think that's what it is. And it it does make women seem more attached afterward. That's how come when we're not doing the rules, we call so much. We want to call the man. When we don't have the rules, we want to call the man so much. Anyway, unified front. Back to the authors. We have gone through the authors saying marriage before career. Don't expect applause. Time saver, nice at home, make time for intimacy, and unified front. A big mistake married women make is putting their children before their husbands. They may side with their kids when their husband is trying to discipline them and treat him like the big bad wolf. Back each other up and be a unified front so your kids don't divide and conquer. If your husband is doing things that you absolutely don't agree with, dear children, you have to rethink your marriage. I think. I really think so. I really think so. Okay. Big mistake married women make is putting their children before their husbands. They may side with their kids when their husband is trying to discipline them and treat him like the big bad wolf. Back each other up and be a unified front so your kids don't divide and conquer. They are probably already entitled and not as innocent as you think. Also, be honest. Are you trying to get your kids' love by giving them what they want, more stuff, instead of what they need, discipline? Are you trying to be their favorite parent? That's competition. When they move out, it will be you and your husband. So get your priorities straight and be on the same page now. Now that's interesting because you have couples that feel like they don't know each other after the kids move out because they've been diverging in different directions. They've been saying, okay, I do this, you do that, and then their duties keep them from talking to each other, and they're almost like roommates when they sleep in the same bed. But personality wise, they have their priorities all focused on other things that are not the same things. They need to say, this is saying that you need to be with your husband when he watches the sports. I don't know if it means you have to watch the sports. Actually, it said that. It said you needed to watch some of the sports with him. And anyhow, that's it. I am going to talk to you later and see. Um, let me show you what a picture of Bam Bam looks like. No, never mind. Bam Bam is not this guy. This guy has a big bottle in his mouth, and it's almost the same thing, but it's not the same baby. I have a photo of little babies doing what I need every day, like different moods of things, like understanding, peace, support, focus, competence, growth, challenge, appreciation, value, self reliance, acceptance, respect, control, empowerment, and safety. Those are all things that you think about when you think about your marriage and see where you are when you align with your husband. Okay, so I will talk to you again later. See you tomorrow, old Kinder.